What's going on, everyone? The Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert situation in Utah seems to be coming to an end, right? They aren't winning. They seem to be kind of at odds at times. And Rudy Gobert, I think, is the odd man out, right? They're not going to trade Donovan Mitchell. He is their guy, right? He's the guy that they want to build their franchise around. So I think it's inevitable that they're going to have to move off of one of these two. And don't get me wrong, Rudy is an incredible force defensively. He isn't much on the offensive end and needs a lot of help. He needs that setup guy, that guy to kind of feed him the ball in the proper positions for him to really be a contribution offensively. And he's been exposed so much because Utah's lack of defensive wings to keep, perimeter guys out. So a lot of teams, they just go small, draw Rudy out of the paint, and then teams are free to do basically whatever they want, whatever they need. And Rudy can't stay in the center where he needs to be effective. And so that has been a big issue for Utah. And by trading Rudy, you kind of give yourself a position to, maybe upgrade or get a couple pieces to fill in and sort of start building around Donovan Mitchell for the future. So given that in mind, I think that it is a huge possibility that Utah has this Rudy and Donovan problem, really a Rudy problem, right? Because Donovan is their guy. That is their franchise face. So you have this problem in Rudy Gobert. What can you do? Well, you could trade for another problem, right? Phoenix Suns have a problem with DeAndre Ayton, and Phoenix doesn't seem like they want to extend him, that they want to re-sign him. There was all the issues with the Game 7. He didn't want to play. He basically had some squirmish thing going on behind the scenes. And so DeAndre Ayton seems like he's going to be the odd man out with Phoenix. Now, they could always match whatever contracts they end up, getting offered. But realistically, I think they're either going to let him go or they're going to try to sign and trade him. So I think that this could be a win-win for both the Phoenix Suns as well as for the Utah Jazz. And I think a trade would go something along these lines of, DeAndre Ayton and Cam Johnson for a Rudy Gobert. You probably got to throw in a couple extra pieces, kind of make things work. But I think essentially these are the two guys that would be traded away to go get a Rudy. And I think it is a good trade. I think it's a win-win trade for everybody because right off the bat, you have the Rudy Gobert situation in Utah removed, right? Rudy gets to go and he ends up going to the Phoenix Suns. They kind of have that new anchor for their defense, which they already were a solid defensive team, but now that upgrades tremendously. They don't really need the offense. I mean, if you watched game 6 and 7 against Dallas, it kind of looks like they need the offense, but I just think that they were just in a slump. I mean, they weren't having issues scoring all year, all playoffs, anything like that. It just kind of came to this weird point, right? It came to this point where they couldn't make a basket to save their lives, and they had the worst games of their entire season at just the worst times that you could. So I don't think they need another offensive big man that can put up 20 and 10. I think with what they have in Chris Paul and what Chris Paul's able to create, as well as, you have Bridges who likely can step up and kind of be that third guy, can be that guy that can get you 20 a night. You have Booker, obviously, as a solid, 23, 25 point a game guy every night. So I think you have the pieces you need. You get that defensive anchor, and it really helps. Think about the lineup that you'd have if you're the Phoenix Suns. I mean, you have Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Bridges, and you have Crowder along with Rudy, all defensive guys with your offense, with your two offensive pieces, right? You have the wings that you can have defensively to kind of make up for the lack of Rudy being able to step out. So therefore, he can kind of control the paint. Teams have to be honest with him. On top of that, you have Chris Paul and Devin Booker, who they're not defensive stoppers, but they're at least guys that are smart enough to funnel the offensive player defensively to Rudy, and they're guys that can really kind of help highlight the positives that is Rudy. And I mean, Chris Paul, like I mentioned earlier, you have Rudy Gobert who needs setup. He needs somebody that can get him the ball in the proper positions to be effective offensively. And Chris Paul is that guy. Chris Paul is a guy that can put Rudy in situations to where he can be effective offensively because he's such a great orchestrator. He's such a great point guard. So Rudy is going to benefit tremendously by having a guy like Chris Paul, because Donovan Mitchell was their point guard in so many ways, right? And Donovan Mitchell isn't a guy that is really trying to get Rudy, 10 touches a game, right? He's not really a guy that's looking for Rudy unless he absolutely has to. He's a guy that's looking to go get the ball and score and put up, 20 points, 25, 30 points a game. That's his job. And that's his job as like the go-to guy, the go-to scorer. But Chris Paul doesn't care if he scores. He's more than happy to set guys up. If I can get you open and I can get you a dunk, I'm going to do that. Especially it fits Phoenix's offensive style. They're not huge, like, let's knock down 50 threes. They operate in the mid-range. They operate by two-pointers. And Rudy fits that. Now you have that guy that you can throw the lob to that doesn't need or demand the ball. Rudy is a guy that wants touches, and so you got to feed him something to keep him happy. But I think that being in a position like with the Phoenix Suns would change Rudy's mindset tremendously. Because right now, he's like the second guy. And so he's like, hey, like, I need my touches, I need my thing. But if Rudy can buy in, he's essentially the third or fourth guy. So he's only going to get, 10 to 12 touches a game. But Chris Paul's going to put him in the best position possible to be effective. Rudy will be more effective than he's ever been with Utah being on the Phoenix Suns. And I just think it's a great pickup for Phoenix. You got that defensive anchor. You basically got rid of, yes, a young Cam Johnson who, they likely wanted to keep up. But realistically, he's a guy that hardly played even in the playoffs at times. And you're giving up DeAndre Ayton, who, you basically wanted to ship off and get rid of anyway. There might not even want to match him. So really, you're not losing anything. You're picking up a defensive player of the year. You're picking up, a league leading shot blocker. That is perfect for Phoenix's style and just the way they play, the way they operate in the half court. They're not a huge, let's just run and gun. They have moments where they do. But in reality, because of Chris Paul, they operate within schemes. They operate in the half court in so many ways. And so that's perfect for Rudy. And Rudy is a guy that can run the floor if need be. And if you look at the other side, Utah, they get a good young center, a 20 and 10 guy who can contribute. It's also a guy that they can dump the ball to and alleviate Donovan Mitchell from scoring. That's the problem, is Utah doesn't have anybody that can really help him score. So if Donovan doesn't put up 30 or 40 a night, they're not winning against most teams. And that's what we're seeing. Donovan puts up 25 points, they usually lose because Rudy gets, 12 points on like 7 of 8 shots or 6 of 8 shots, something like that. But he can't knock down free throws. At least Ayton can shoot at a better free throw percentage. He's a guy you can dump the ball down to and go get you some points. He's a guy that's going to get you 20 and 10. He's not the defensive player that Rudy is, but, he still can play defense if he buys in. He's young. He would fit with Donovan very well. And he's a great guy. You have these two building blocks to build around. Not just that, but you get a Cam Johnson who could be your defensive wing, who can guard multiple positions, who can play multiple positions. You're in a better spot than you were with Rudy, at least in my opinion. I think that this would be a huge benefit for Utah. You can still go get another piece or two or do what you need to do to go get, another quality guy or two. You still have Conley if need be, or you trade him or do whatever you need to do. But I just think at its core, you have essentially Cam Johnson, you have DeAndre Ayton, and you have Donovan Mitchell. I think that's a pretty good core to build with. That's this team I think is still just as good as Utah was this past year. I think you can make the argument that they would be better next year with this trade than they would be in the past couple years. Outside of that 1 year where they just were dominating in the league and just hot as hell, outside of that, they really, even that year, they underwhelmed when they got into the playoffs. Something's not working in Utah, whatever it is. And I think that they need a change of scenery. And not just that, you need to do something to show Donovan Mitchell, hey, we're trying. We understand you're our guy. You're the guy that we want to build this team around. So we're trading. we're trading Rudy. We're going to get you a nice young center that can alleviate some scoring for you. He's going to help you out. He's a guy that can get you 20 plus a game, night in, night out. He's consistent. He's going to get you the same amount of rebounds likely. And it's a guy that you don't have to force feed the ball or get into the dunker spot just to get him to score. You can take a possession or two off, and you don't have to score 50 a night for us to win. You got a guy that can go get 20. Cam Johnson, if he gets brought into a bigger role, maybe he shows up and turns out to be that guy. Maybe he turns out to be a great pickup for them, and he's a guy that can maybe go get, 15 a game and defend multiple positions. And now you got that wing, and you just got a solid core to build around. Plus, whatever little odds and ends. I imagine there likely will be some draft picks or, something along those lines, or some random throw-in players, things like that kind of fit in. I just think ultimately this would be a win-win for both teams. It'd be a huge win for Utah. It'd be a huge win for Phoenix. I think both teams are better given the circumstances. I think both players with DeAndre Ayton and Rudy Gobert are both in a better position for the type of players that they are, because I think Ayton is a guy that he wants to be that second guy. He wants to be that guy that a franchise builds around and is, looked at as like one of the better big men in the league. Well, now's your chance. Now you're the second option. You got Donovan Mitchell, but you're the number 2 guy. You're the guy we need to go get 20 to 25 a night. You're not the 3rd, 4th, 5th option. So this is what we need you to do. We need you to step up. We need you to play big. And then as far as Rudy, Rudy's big thing is like he has to buy in. That's my only concern, is that Rudy not buying in, him wanting and demanding like, hey, I need my 10 to 15 touches a game. If he can be a guy that's like, hey, we don't know, I'm going to try to get you the ball, but I'm not going to force it. We're going to play within the offensive schemes, and Chris Paul is so good, he's going to get you probably 5 to 7 easy buckets. So instead of going, 6 for 8 or 6 for 10, you're going to go like 6 for 7 or 6 for 6, something along those lines, because it's just going to be in the natural flow. You're going to be the dunker guy. I'm going to be looking for you on the lob pass. I'm going to be breaking down the defense, dishing it up to you. I just think that that's a great spot for him to be. But as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think of this proposed trade? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it is a great trade for both sides? Both big men, you're basically swapping big men. You're trading one problem for another problem. Phoenix upgrades, Utah upgrades, because I don't think they're comparable players, but I think that they're both better suited for the opposite team. I think Ayton is much better suited to be on the Utah Jazz and what they need to do and what he wants, as well as Rudy over on Phoenix. I think that is a great position for him to be in. He's on an automatic contender immediately. They have a great starting 5. They have all the pieces that Utah doesn't have to help sort of highlight Rudy and allow him to be Rudy and operate, in the post area and stuff like that on defense and really be able to be that defensive anchor. I think that is huge for him. And I think it's just going to make life so much easier for Rudy if he were to go to the Phoenix Suns. But what do you all think? What do you like this trade? Do you hate this trade? The reason I say, because I'm sure I'm going to get somebody that's like, we're not trading Cam Johnson and stuff. 1, the money's got to match, and 2, they're not going to trade Rudy for just Ayton, right? And especially because everybody knows Phoenix doesn't want Ayton. So Phoenix is going to have to sweeten the pot a little bit. Maybe there are some other teams that would trade for Ayton. I don't doubt that there will be a demand for Ayton, but a team can come in and offer a max contract, and I don't think Phoenix is going to match it. I don't. So if I'm a team that is like, hey, I want Ayton, I'll just offer him a max contract. I know Phoenix isn't going to match it. So why? And I'm not going to trade for him. That's the problem Phoenix has. The problem is that everybody knows that Ayton does not want to be in Phoenix, that there's issues in La La Land with Phoenix, and it's just been a disaster. So that is something you got to keep in mind too. So Phoenix has to sweeten the pot. They have to make salaries match. You have to do all those things. If you're doing that kind of trade. But I think this is a win-win for both teams. But again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports, join this wonderful community, and all of our discussions. See you all in the next one. Thank you.